So here we are, continuing the conversation about what it means to be a writer. And this is something that hits pretty close to home. Another fellow weighing in on Mr. That Guy Who Would Exist question says, I beg to differ, but writing shouldn't be forced, it should come naturally. And then he goes on to talk about details, but I want to deal with the it should come naturally. And this is something I strongly disagree with. Writing is an unnatural act. We invented what we recognize as writing only a couple of thousand years ago. And what I mean by that is the symbolic making of marks in certain configurations to represent sounds heard or represent words. That's a relatively new invention. We, as a species, have been around for some time. Our first form of writing, our first form of permanent written communication was in the form of comic books, which is why comic books is the first language, and it's the language on which civilization is built. Comic books in the sense that they were cave drawings, but they were cave drawings towards a specific end. Cave drawings, static pictures put in a certain sequence to tell a specific bit of information, to tell a story, if you will. And by any definition, graphic images put in sequence to tell a story is comic books. That's the irreducible evidence. Essence is the word I was looking for. The irreducible essence of what comics are. And it was our first writing. It was our first permanently written communication, and it held sway for about 30,000 years before these writings began to be codified, these pictures, into hieroglyphics and then various other things that were all still a very stylized. The picture represents the word, and it was only recently that we switched to a system in some alphabets where these symbolic letters represent sounds we make rather than words we create from pictures. I told you all of that to tell you this, that writing is a very symbolic activity. We aren't born knowing it. We're born knowing how to interpret pictures, which is why comic books will always be the universal language of mankind, the only one you don't need to be taught. But we are not born with the ability to understand symbolic alphabets representing sounds we make. More on the next segment.